True power never screams from sun to Mavella. The greatest masters of strategy have revealed an ancient secret. Real control belongs to those who remain in the shadows, in absolute silence. It's an art so sophisticated that welcome to my channel. Philosophy of Stoicism. Even today, true manipulators use it not by instinct, but because there's a precise science behind silence as an instrument of dominance. Have you ever stopped to think how silence, often seen as an absence of something, can actually be one of the greatest sources of power in a world that constantly bombards us with information and noise? Silence stands out as an oasis of reflection and strategy. It's no coincidence that great thinkers from Sense to Machiavelli emphasize the importance of knowing when to be silent and how to use silence to your advantage. Real power often lies not in shouting your goals to the four winds, but in remaining reserved, observing and planning carefully. Think about that moment when you shared an idea before it was fully mature and how that might have diminished its impact or given other people the chance to use it. First, silence in this context is not a passive action, but an active and powerful choice. It's like a lion lurking in the savannah who doesn't announce its presence, but waits for the right moment to act. It observes, it studies, and then when you least expect it, attacks with precision and force. The one who talks too much, on the other hand, often exposes themselves too much, revealing their plans and vulnerabilities. Noise in many situations is a sign of insecurity, an attempt to fill the void with words, while silence is the manifestation of an inner strength of confidence in oneself and one's capabilities. True mastery lies in the ability to control what is said and what is kept secret, but make no mistake, silence is not just about not talking, it's also about not reacting impulsively. It's about containing emotions, remaining calm in crisis situations, and observing the scenario clearly without being carried away by the agitation of the moment. The strength of restraint manifests in the ability not to give in to pressure, not to let your emotions dominate you, allowing you to act strategically and rationally even in the face of adverse situations. And how can you apply this wisdom in your daily life? How about starting by setting aside some moments for silence? It doesn't have to be something extensive, just a few minutes to get away from the noise of everyday life. Take a deep breath and listen to your own inner voice. What would be the impact of setting aside just 15 minutes of your day for this practice? Try it for a week and see the changes in your mental clarity and decision-making ability. Also, when you're in a situation of conflict or tension, try to observe more and speak less. Remember the lion in the savannah before reacting. Breathe and evaluate your options, noticing the power that silence can give you. Silence, when used well, is like a shield that protects and a sword that strikes at the right time. After all, as an old Chinese proverb says, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know." It is a constant search to refine your perception, understand the power of calm and control, and apply this wisdom in every area of your life. Silence is not just the absence of sound, but the presence of an immeasurable power, a strategy that allows you to observe, understand, and act at the right moment, like a master of your own life. Now let's think a little about the power of observation. It's not just about seeing, but about really perceiving, absorbing the details, understanding what lies hidden in the subtext. The one who observes patiently gains an advantage that goes far beyond what immediate sight can offer. Imagine a detective who, upon arriving at a crime scene, does not get carried away by the confusion, but observes every detail, every strand of hair, every footprint. They don't act on impulse, but collect the clues, analyze them, and seek the truth behind the apparent disorder. Being a patient observer is like entering a library full of knowledge and having the time to read every book, understanding the nuances of each story. This allows you to understand the dynamics of each situation, identifying opportunities and dangers that would go unnoticed by others. The psychology behind observation is profound. It teaches us to get out of automatic mode, to question our own impressions, and to seek a more complete understanding of the world around us. It's the ability to disconnect from your own narrative, to absorb the narrative of the other, of the circumstances. The one who observes learns to read people, not just by what they say, but by what they demonstrate, by their facial expressions, body language and tone of voice. They perceive what is said and what is omitted, and with that, they understand the motivations and intentions of the person in front of them. And how can this be a tool of power? Well, the power of information is immense. The one who observes accumulates knowledge, and knowledge is power. By perceiving the strengths and weaknesses of others, your own, the patterns of behavior, and the dynamics of each situation, you position yourself as a more conscious player on the board of life, being a patient observer doesn't mean staying inert, but preparing to act with wisdom. It's like an archer who prepares to shoot an arrow. They observe the target, assess the wind conditions, adjust their aim, and only then shoot with precision. It's not about acting without thinking, but about acting with full awareness and discernment. And how can you cultivate the ability to be a patient observer? First, practice mindfulness in your daily life. Instead of performing tasks on autopilot, dedicate all your attention to each moment, observing the details, perceiving the nuances. When you're talking to someone, don't get distracted by your cell phone or your own thoughts. Listen carefully. Observe the other person's expressions, the tone of their voice. How about, for example, during one day, trying to observe people on your daily commute and pay attention to their behaviors and attitudes? This can give you many lessons about human nature. Also, set aside time to reflect on your own actions and behaviors. How do you feel in different situations? What are your triggers? What kind of reactions do you usually have? By observing yourself, you begin to know yourself better, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and learning how to better deal with situations in your daily life. As the Greek philosopher Epictetus said, it's not events that disturb men, but their opinions about events. The patient observer understands that precap is key to a fuller life, and that by cultivating this ability, they become the master of their own destiny, transforming the chaos of life into order, learning, and opportunity. It's a path of self-knowledge that allows us to navigate the world with clarity, wisdom, and a silent force that emanates from attentive observation and a deep understanding of the dynamics of life. Now let's unravel the mechanisms by which silence and observation transform into control. It's a subtle process, often invisible, but with undeniable power, like a chess master who moves the pieces on the board with strategy. The silent observer also uses their actions and the absences of them to guide events in their favor. Think about how silence can be used as a tool of persuasion. When someone tries to pressure you to make a decision and you don't react immediately, you gain time to analyze the situation, to think about your options, and you don't get carried away by the pressure of the moment. Silence, in this case, becomes a form of resistance, a way of asserting your control over the situation. But that's not all. Silence also allows you to create an environment of mystery and expectation, and people tend to wonder what your intentions are, what you are plotting, and as this absence of information can awaken their curiosity and imagination, they end up projecting power and control onto you. It's like a magician who creates the illusion through their absence, through omission, letting the imagination of those who watch complete the scene. Invisible manipulation is a concept that may sound negative, but in reality, it is a skill that can be used for good as well as for evil. It is the ability to influence people without them realizing they are being influenced through actions or the absence of them. It's like a garden that is cultivated in secret. each plant being pruned, each fertilizer being put in place without the outside world noticing the transformation that is taking place. The power of waiting is another essential mechanism for control. The one who knows how to wait knows the right time to act. It's like a fisherman who casts their net into the sea and patiently waits for the right moment to pull it in, knowing that patience will bring a greater reward. The one who hurries often makes mistakes and wastes opportunities, while the one who knows how to wait reaps the fruits at the right time with precision and effectiveness. And how can you apply these mechanisms in your daily life? First, learn to control your impulsive reactions before responding to a provocation. Take a deep breath, observe the situation, and decide whether it's the right time to act or not. Don't get carried away by anger or frustration, but act with calm and rationality. How about, for example, starting to practice waiting in everyday situations, such as lines, meetings, or traffic? Try not to get irritated or impatient, but just observe of what is happening and take the opportunity to reflect on your own emotions. In addition, learn to use silence as a communication tool when you are in a negotiation or a discussion. Don't rush to speak, but listen carefully to what the other person has to say. Ask questions, observe their reactions, and let the silence do its work. Silence in this context is like a conductor who leads the orchestra of communication, creating pauses that increase the impact of your words. Speech is silver. Silence is golden. Says the proverb, the mechanisms of control are revealed in the ability to observe, act, wait, and use. Silence with mastery, not to dominate, but to understand the world and oneself. It's the dance between action and inaction, speech and silence, that allows us to transform each moment into an opportunity to build a fuller and more fulfilling life. It's a way of mastering impulses and understanding the flow of life, always remaining in control of your actions and reactions on the board of life. Now let's explore one of the most intriguing and powerful strategies, the strategy of emptiness. It may sound paradoxical, but creating spaces of power through absence is a refined technique used by great strategists and leaders throughout history. Think about those moments when the absence of a person or something specific causes a much greater impact than the presence. It's like a blank canvas, where the absence of color creates infinite expectation and possibility. Control through absence manifests in the ability not to be present, not to get involved, to remain distant. It's a way of creating a vacuum that attracts the attention and interest of others. Emptiness in this context is not a lack, but an opportunity. It is the ability to place oneself on the sidelines, not to get involved in the trivialities of everyday life, and to observe the world from a broader perspective. The power of non-action is another essential aspect of the strategy of emptiness. It is not about remaining inert, but about acting with purpose. It is the ability to refrain from doing something, not to react impulsively, not to get carried away by the agitation of the moment. It's like a river that flows, that bypasses obstacles instead of facing them, that finds its way through non-resistance. The power of mystery is a way of using emptiness to awaken the curiosity and imagination of others. The less you reveal about yourself, your plans and intentions, the more people tend to wonder about you, which makes you an even more interesting figure. It's like a closed box, where the absence of information awakens the curiosity of those who see it, which makes it a source of fascination and interest. And how can you apply the strategy of emptiness in your life? First, learn to create spaces of silence in your conversations and interactions. Instead of filling every moment with words, let silence speak for itself. Let the other person reflect on what has been said. Let the absence of noise create an environment of reflection. How about starting to apply this practice in meetings where people often talk non-stop, without giving themselves time to think? Try next time to speak less and observe more, paying attention to the effect that silence has on others. In addition, learn to distance yourself from situations that don't add value to you. Don't feel obliged to participate in every discussion or activity, but choose wisely where you will invest your energy and time. Your absence in these cases can be more impactful than your presence. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Says the popular saying, try, for example, to abstain from social media for a few hours or a whole day. See how this will give you more time to dedicate yourself to other things, and how this absence will make you feel less need to be always connected. The strategy of emptiness is a path that invites us to step away from the rush of everyday life, to distance ourselves from the noise of the world, and to reconnect with our own essence. It's an invitation to cultivate silence, observation, and mystery, transforming absence into a source of power, clarity, and self-knowledge. It's the dance of presence and absence, of sound and silence, that allows us to master the nuances of life and achieve a new form of power, subtle and effective. It's in the end understanding that not acting can have a much greater effect than the action itself, and we have reached the apex of our journey, the mastery of control, mastering silence, the art of observation, the power of containment, and the strategy of emptiness is what takes us to a level of control that goes beyond the superficial. It's the conquest of a power that doesn't impose itself, but that emanates from wisdom, self-knowledge, and the ability to connect with the flow of life. Mastering silence is not just knowing when to be quiet, but knowing when to speak and how to use words to impact and influence. It's the ability to create strategic pauses, to let silence do its work, to use words with precision and intention. It's like a conductor who leads an orchestra, who controls the rhythm and the melody, who makes each instrument play in harmony. The art of observation is revealed in the ability to perceive the details, the nuances, what lies hidden in the subtext. It's the ability to read people, to understand their motivations, to anticipate their movements. It's like a strategist who studies the battlefield, who analyzes the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy, who plans every move carefully. The power of containment manifests in the ability to control emotions, not to be carried away by impulses, to remain calm in crisis situations. It's the ability to remain serene in the face of chaos, not to lose your head, to act with rationality. It's like a martial art master who controls their movements, who deflects the opponent's blows, who waits for the right moment to counterattack. And how can we achieve this? Mastery of control. First, practice self-awareness. Observe your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors. Ask yourself, why am I acting like this? What are my triggers? How can I improve? Self-knowledge is the basis of all control. How about, for example, starting a journal in which you write down your reflections, your perceptions, and your discoveries? This will help you identify your patterns of behavior, your strengths and weaknesses. Also practice conscious breathing whenever you feel anxious, irritated, or frustrated. Take a few deep breaths. Observe your breathing and bring your mind to the present. Breathing is a powerful tool that connects you with your center and helps you control your emotions. Try, for example, taking a few deep breaths whenever you feel under pressure, and see how this helps you stay calm and finally learn to forgive yourself. We all make mistakes, and it's important to accept our failures and learn from them. Don't be too hard on yourself, but move forward with more wisdom and compassion. He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. Said Lao, the mastery of control is a continuous journey, a relentless search for self-knowledge and self-control. It is a path that leads us to a level of power that doesn't impose itself, but conquers through wisdom, patience, and compassion. It is the art of living in harmony with oneself and the world, of transforming each moment into an opportunity to grow and evolve. It is the culmination of silence, observation, containment, and emptiness, which allows us to master the art of life and become the masters of our own destiny. Thank you for getting this far. If you liked the content and found it useful, don't forget to leave your like and share it with someone you appreciate. Subscribe to the channel, Philosophy of Stoicism, for more videos like this, and stay tuned for upcoming content. Who knows what intriguing topic we will explore next, a mystery that will only be revealed at the right moment. And remember, peace and light on your journey. See you soon.